Stick around. Coming up next is Marvel News number 106. It's an all creative differences episode of Marvel News, and we're going to talk about the Stan Lee Jack Kirby lawsuit. And yes, it still lives on. We're also going to talk about the Gary Friedrich Marvel lawsuit, that $17,000 that he owes or doesn't owe or might owe or sort of owes, and the final fate of Ghost Rider, which may be determined sooner than you think thanks to the box office. All that and more coming right up.
When Bo starts talking Marvel News, hey, shut up. Bo's talking Marvel News.
To know us is to love us, despite knowing us. Marvel News, episode 106. What the parking guy knew.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for Bocephus.
Marvel News.
Marvel News. Marvel News number 106. Creative differences. We'll get to that in a minute.
What?
But Marvel News is coming to you from this place, Alternate Reality, which is located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all my new comics, especially on my new Marvel comics, that are getting sued within an inch of their life, are all 15% off every day for everyone. Bo!
Yes?
What is the matter with Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and the lawsuits and the Mark Tobleroff and threats against Stan Lee's brother and what?
Well, for those of you who don't remember, the Jack Kirby estate was suing Marvel to get copyrights for all the characters that he and Stan co-created, and they lost. So their lawyer, Mark Tobleroff, is appealing. Now, his appeal apparently is based on the entire foundation that Stan Lee is a lying son of a bitch.
Wow. We at the Outhouse in no way want to infer that Stan Lee is a lying son of a bitch or a lying anything. He's a wonderful human being, and we all love Stan deeply. So what did the lying SOB have to say?
Well, supposedly they're saying that Stan didn't remember everything the way it's supposed to have been.
Yes.
And he was accused of threatening his own brother, Larry Lieberg, by going, you know that comic strip you're working on, that Spider-Man book? It'd be a shame if someone else took that strip over.
It would be a shame if
It'd be
something were to happen.
Something would happen to your storefront.
Now Stan Lee's a mobster?
Yeah, and that's Stan Lee's a mobster. Well, the problem with this is the same thing that when this thing first broke and the lawsuits showed up. My statement was at that time, Jack can't contradict Stan because Jack's dead.
Well, no, that would be kind of a good trick.
So let's just throw dirt at the guy who was around. And the other problem is, the witnesses he used were like Mark Evanier and a couple other people, who were hanging around when Jack was young, and people who worked with the Kirby Collector.
Well, Mark Evanier's got a long history with Jack Kirby, when he was alive, and now with the Jack Kirby Collector after he's gone.
Yeah, none of which could actually contradict anything that happened because they weren't there.
Well, no, yes.
Evanier was there.
I mean, Mark Evanier knew Jack Kirby. I'm sure Jack Kirby told Mark Evanier many, many stories.
Yeah, but the problem was that Mark Evanier was 16 years old, and so when he got on the stand, the judge said, so basically you're expecting us to say that you as a 16-year-old remember all this stuff to detail and more or less eviscerated him on the stand.
Well, you know what the answer to that is. Whenever you get on the stand, and anybody at any age is asked about events that happened 20 years ago, you can use that excuse. You mean to tell me that you can remember crystal clear what happened in 20 years ago on November the 13th, 1986, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, so Tobleroff's witness list was a little on the shaky side. And Stan, sat there and he charmed the judge and everyone because this is what Stan does.
Stan does.
So.
We need a good seance. So we just go back and ask Kirby.
Oh,
Get around the table.
Well, I'll tell you a story. Years ago when Marvel reprinted Fantastic Four Annual #1, and Kirby was at Wizard World. I remember walking up to him.
Was that the one with the burn cover?
It was the one with the burn cover.
The special edition.
It was a special edition.
Okay, I know.
And Jack was sitting there, and Jack says, "Oh my gosh, it looks like this book is brand new. How long have you had this book for a while?" And it was kind of obvious that it was a reprint, but Jack didn't notice it.
Well, it had a John Byrne wraparound cover, and it was one of the first books that they reprinted in the new Marvel process of brighter colors, better paper. Actually, that reprint of it looked much better than the original did. Not that I grew up with the original, so it's near and dear to my heart. But as far as actual printing and holding the book and flipping through it and going, oh my God, the colors should jump out.
Coloring process.
It was obviously superior
paper
to the original
better. It all looked much better than it did way back when.
Well, name an art form where at the outset and where it first started that the creators didn't get screwed.
Yeah.
The first guys on the block who didn't have to write the book as it went on.
And that was the biggest.
Always got hammered.
Right.
But yeah, but it still came down to the fact that you can't contradict what Stan said because Stan's the guy who's alive and Jack's the guy who's dead.
Yes.
So
Moving on. More creative differences. The Mike Friedrichs Ghost Rider Marvel Comics case continues to drone on, even though the case is over with.
well, no,
Events are still happening
actually, the
with it.
case isn't over with. That's
Oh,
what
really?
The case isn't really over with.
Oh.
The judge basically said, court documents reveal that the ongoing negotiations in the Ghost Rider case. That's what determined that Friedrich owed Marvel $17,000
Right.
from selling unlicensed Ghost Rider materials.
Okay.
The case itself isn't over.
Allegedly unlicensed.
Allegedly enlightened. Basically, it was something they agreed with. They said something, and the judge came up with a $17,000 number. He said the number didn't come from Marvel. It came from the judge specifically. The number was decided by the court. It also, Dan Buckley and Joe Quesada wanted to make it clear. Friedrich is not being told he cannot sign authorized Ghost Rider books, merchandise, or his autograph. He can continue to do that. But Marvel's side of the lawsuit, which is a countersuit, because Friedrich sued in 2007, Marvel countersued in 2010. Marvel hasn't settled with Friedrich at all. The case isn't over with. And so everyone's going, oh my God, they screwed him. The 17 grand is something the judge came up with. Friedrich's lawyers were fully aware of the fact that he was going to have to be hit with some kind of penalty. So, he's not exactly what you'd call an innocent party in all this. This is decided by the court system, not Marvel Comics. So don't blame him for something that they didn't do. When you go to court, judges take over. Judges are now in charge of this situation. It's not between Friedrich and Marvel per se. It's between Friedrich's lawyers, Marvel's lawyers, and the judge.
Thank you, Perry Mason.
Well,
What I come back to a lot with this is Friedrich is not suing Marvel. Friedrich is suing Disney, and
Yeah.
Disney. If you've ever been to the Magic Kingdom, the only creator
Well, no,
rights
no,
the only
no,
creator
wait a
rights in the
minute.
Magic Kingdom that anyone's ever aware of is Walt Disney's. He created everything.
He's suing Marvel. He's also suing Sony Pictures, and no one seems to be talking about the fact because he didn't sue them until they did the Ghost Rider movie.
Right, but Ghost Rider is owned by
Ghost Rider is
Disney
owned
right
by
now.
Disney right now.
The movie rights might be over at Sony, but
Right.
Ghost Rider, the
but
character,
the initial
is owned by
lawsuit was actually filed against Sony, and Marvel was added to that, and then at that point, Marvel was bought by Disney.
Mm-hmm.
But the lawsuit came out of the movie. It had nothing to do with the comic. He could care less about the comic. He was basically trying to see what he can get from the movie rights.
Disney. And that, Michael, is a mistake that you've made because there's infinitely more money to be made out of the rights to the character than there are to be made out of this crummy movie,
Yeah.
which is already dead at the box
The
office.
second
as we
film is
speak.
basically dead. The first film didn't make a lot of money. It didn't even do very well on video.
At some point down the road, they may actually make a decent Ghost Rider movie, but it ain't going to be with Nick Cage, and it's not going to be in this string.
No,
that they're,
And
that
it
they're
won't be
working on right
anytime
now.
soon either.
and it won't be anytime soon either.
Well, never say never. I mean, they're going to reboot this thing whenever they
Yeah,
get
but
it
with
back.
all the characters they got to play with, they're going to go back to the Ghost Rider.
Well,
Well, it depends on
Sony
on when
will.
Disney gets it back.
Sony will, because if Sony doesn't do something with Ghost Rider, then Marvel and Disney get the rights back. And
Yeah.
so the only reason you got this second film isn't because Sony thought this is a big deal. Sony said, if we don't do this, Marvel gets the character back.
Which is
Well,
the same for Daredevil and the same for Fantastic
Right.
Four and X-Men and Spider-Man
Right.
and the characters that are out there
You
right
got
now.
to keep
that
them
Disney
going,
doesn't
otherwise you lose the.
understand.
have. No matter how crummy the movies are going to be, keep that in mind
But
for
the
the
point
future
being-
with these
But the point
franchises.
being is ultimately you want to eventually make a few dollars. If Ghost Rider's never going to make any money, what do they care if they still got the character or not? Fantastic Four, yeah, that made money.
And
that
well,
franchise could make
and
money.
Fox is going ahead
With
with their
Spider-Man,
Fantastic
they
Four
made tons of
reboot.
money.
They're going ahead with their
X-Men
Daredevil
made tons of
reboot.
money,
They're going
for
ahead.
sure.
There's going to be another X-Men film going on. Those, so I mean, but Fox tends to look at things differently than Sony does. Sony's attitude is, give me the product, I'll sell it. Whatever I make on it, if I make a profit, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Fox is a little more concerned about, well, does it suck or not?
Well, they're more interested in perpetuating the franchise,
Right.
I would think, than with Ghost Rider. With Ghost Rider, as much as you like Ghost Rider, it has a limited shelf life. There's only so many movies you can make with the Ghost Rider character. Not that you can't make a good one, and not that you can't make a really kick-ass great one, but you can only take the concept
Yeah,
so
not
far.
not so far.
Right.
Yeah.
Can only go so far.
I mean, it's a very limited concept. I mean, he's flaming skull guy on a motorcycle, and you're out of here.
Right.
And so are we. That's it. We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. We got no more Marvel news, but go to the store's website. Check out all the Marvel news this man sends me that I post up.
This is just to keep me busy, isn't it?
Yes.
www.myalternatereality.com.
Stop off at the store's website and check out all of his news. Till next time, this is Comic Book Man
And this is Bo.
saying bye. Here at Alternate Reality, all new comics are 15% off every day for everybody. That's right, all my new comics are always 15% off every day for everyone. All you got to do is stop in here and pick it up anytime during the 7 days that book is new. So be sure to stop off here at Alternate Reality and pick up this week's new comics for 15% off all the time, only at Alternate Reality.
The Video Outhouse is brought to you by some of the finest people willing to work for free. This is a list of some of them.